And we are live. Let's see. Practice stuff and Formula 3, Formula 2 stuff have happened. And let's see, where should we go? This one. Then, yeah, Formula 3. I would say was almost good. I mean, the best thing with Formula 3, Millward did do really bad qualifying, so he will not get any points this race. And that's good for Dino Beganovic. Oh, Mansell also qualified bad. Fucking 20. That I didn't see. Oh, Floersch above. So hopefully no points for Mansell either. And the most important thing, Dino Beganovic 12. I mean, I would rather him being in pole position or P1 or top 10, but 12 is amazing because he at least will have a good sprint race. Sadly, mine is close to him, so hopefully they will not crash out each other. Luke Browning, he will continue getting some points. But Funeroli, for him to get the championship, is really good for him that he's third. And yeah, the only people that can score more points that you don't want to score points are Funeroli, Luke Browning, and Miney against Dino Beganovic. But let's see. Yeah, Funeroli needs most of the points and will start the best in the race. And Miney will start best in the sprint race. And Luke Browning will be in the middle. So Funeroli can end this race weekend leading the championship. And Miney in second and Luke Browning either third or maybe second. And let's see. Beganovic can go from this race weekend be having more points than Mansell. Yeah, they're probably the only thing that he can celebrate, that he will be top 5 in the end of this weekend. Then we have Formula 2. Oh yeah, that's happened in Formula 3. They queued up. Did they do? No, they didn't do in Formula 2. No, only Formula 3. They tried to queue up. And it was like the last queue up thing they tried to set a time. It was a nightmare. 3 cars almost side by side in every row. It was like cars everywhere, and nobody, maybe some did maybe get a better time, maybe, probably not, because nothing changed in the time the list. So I'm guessing nobody set a faster lap. So Dino Beganovic kept his place. And let's see what happened in Victor Marti. Something, I missed what happened with him, but something happened to him, so he didn't have a good qualifying. Let's see. Zach O'Sullivan looked like he will do a really good lap in the end, but he just got 10. Colapinto, nice to see him up there. Antonelli was also... What the fuck? Don't we have... No, we don't... Oliver Bernal. What happened to him? Okay. Yeah, Antonelli... Hadja will... Let's see if Polaron can win this race. Now he start P1. And what can Bortoletti do? And what will Hadja do? Will he succeed to keep the lead, or he will probably keep the lead? Standings, let's see. 25, 47. Okay, if Hadja doesn't score any points in the sprint race and the race, then Polaron, if he wins, can get past him. But that will probably not happen. And then we have F1, the most interesting stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Alpine shows that they are... Let's see, what did Pigasly? Oh, Pigasly showed somewhat good stuff. But the most important thing, Sergio Perez at least top 10. That's if he start top 10, maybe at least he will have a nice race. And this was something fun to see. Alex Albon third. Yeah, Max Verstappen and McLaren up there like always, except London Norris. But in practice too, they were faster than Max Verstappen. And this is beautiful. Ferrari behind Max Verstappen, and then we have Mercedes further away, and so Perez. I mean, they still stopped 10. Yeah, I don't think nothing more happened. It was, I think, like everything was going fine. I believe I saw some stuff happen. Oscar Piastri did something. He was outside the track. Maybe one or maybe even more. But I don't think a lot of stuff happened. Oh shit, we need to do some stuff. See if this will work better. No, holy fuck, we don't have any sound. Let's see, do we have any sound on the...
On here,
yeah, we have. The fuck don't we have sound in the Minecraft? This is weird. Okay, we go. Let's see if we can. If we start up Minecraft again, then will that work? And let's see, did any news happen latest? Oh yes, more stuff happened in Alpine. This guy in the middle will apparently leave. And someone from High Tech will join Alpine. Yeah, I had problems starting Minecraft, so I don't know what's happening. Oh, now we have sons. We have sons, so now we can begin. Then I realized we will have cat sounds. 1996. 2,700. So we need 4 more and then we over 2,000. And so let's get our first. Oh my god. I forgot that I removed some chickens. Oh my god. It looks so weird now. Not seeing a lot of chickens and eggs just being annoying. And let's see. Can we get one our first tropical fish for today? Doesn't look like that. So, but I still hoping that Sir Paris will have a good race. Maybe not the best qualifying, but good enough so when the race starts he will have a happy time and then maybe a super easy win. Oh shit. Nah. The fuck is this? Let's see. And hopefully Mercedes continue being bad. Hopefully the wish come true. So the summer break can end with they don't know why the car is bad. Or why it was good. Oh, can this be? It could have been, but it wasn't. Wonder if the summer break will give any news on where color signs will go. Oh shit, have the stuff come out, so what's called the person that leaving Red Bull was really high up. Whatever it's called. Will he give the information that he will hopefully join Williams? Get some shares and then he can make Williams great again. Andrew Newey, there we have the name. Oh, can this be probably not? Flopper sign like, but it's the first fish, tropical fish for today. Let's see, yeah, Autosport P1. Did someone more do? I mean, Peter Brisson, yes, but let's see. Did someone? Autosport P1. No, it's only these three. Okay, let's start with Autosport. What they did think.
Spa-Francorchamps. We woke up this morning absolutely pouring down. Drove in and thought they won't be running.
Oh yeah, that's what's that? I think something about rain. But no rain happened in any of the practice or Formula 2, Formula 3 qualifying.
But then Spa does what it usually does, clears quite quickly, all turn around, and a pretty interesting day, I think all told. Max Verstappen quickest this morning, McLaren 1-2, as we had last weekend. This afternoon, Phil, what were the main takeouts, do you think, from
Mercedes is still bad. They were never good.
Yeah, I think McLaren 1-2 again.
Yeah.
Obviously, they came off the back of a massively dominant 1-2 in Hungary. We go to a completely different circuit. Yeah, aero efficiency, lower downforce, and they're right there again. So it's looking pretty ominous. I know it's Friday. You've got the typical shenanigans with fuel loads and engine modes, but they still look really good. Looks quite tight, I think, with Red Bull. It's not a big difference, but then you've got obviously Max's engine penalty, so they don't need to be a lot quicker to potentially beat him.
Yeah, I think it was quite interesting because obviously teams are trying to
hopefully they will think that, and then Perez will just come from nowhere and wins the race.
Pick out kind of what others are doing in terms of wing levels here. You know, some teams are running high, they go low for the sectors 1 and 3, then you put more wing on for sector 2, so you're balancing those compromises. Some teams think McLaren are wound the engine up a little bit this afternoon. Red Bull don't normally do that on a Friday, so I think we don't see there. Mercedes is quite interesting, on an upgrade from the car. They think they're losing 0.9 seconds on the straights here, so I think they were quite disappointed. I went to the back of the Mercedes garage there, and Toto came out looking at me kind of in that what went wrong kind of face. So I think was a big debrief tonight, working in the simulator tonight. Were you surprised Mercedes were a bit off the pace?
Are you surprised? I've seen 3 years of Mercedes. The fuck, there's no surprise seeing them bad. It's a surprise seeing them good. Man, people cope you.
Today?
Yeah, it's one of those things where out of all the top teams, Mercedes brought by far the biggest package of upgrades for here. Some people have low downforce wings for Spa, but Mercedes had quite a big chunk of upgrades. So I wonder if it's just, you know, a lot to dial in. Does it take more time? They probably don't really know, so they've got a lot to dig through for tomorrow. But yeah, it's really surprising. I mean, we thought Ferrari weren't looking too good, but then maybe they look flattered by Mercedes.
Mercedes, McLaren.
Leclerc and Sainz 4th and 5th, so yeah, you would think like Mercedes need to find some answers quickly, because yeah, it's not exactly good if you have an upgrade that becomes a downgrade. So.
Yeah, exactly. We've had that many times. I think one of the interesting topics
as Aston Martin
that's been kind of bubbling around the paddock when people talk about Fridays is what on earth. You've got your setup questions for sectors 1, 3 and 2, but then also got a setup factor for the rain. Obviously here, if it's going to be wet Saturday and Sunday, you want more downforce on. If it's going to be dry, you don't want too much wind because you get swallowed up on the straights. So teams are juggling all that. Now, I asked you to check on the weather forecast.
Yes,
you're a local as well. So tell us exactly, and I want no room for error, what's going to happen tomorrow and what's happening Sunday.
Yeah, world-renowned weather expert here at Spa. As you know, Spa is so unpredictable. However, it does look like it's going to rain tomorrow, 80% according to most models, including the one that the FIA uses.
Please, Perez, don't crash the car.
So very likely a wet qualifying to some degree. We don't know how much.
Yeah.
But then it is going to be a drier race, hopefully, or presumably. So that kind of adds to your point about the downforce levels.
Yeah.
Do we take into account potentially wet qualifying? Do we just go for the race? And this is especially interesting for Max Verstappen because he has that great penalty.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be focusing on race pace, maybe lower downforce so he can pass some people. So that is an interesting challenge, and especially if it's wet qualifying, you have to make some compromises, but you don't want to overdo it, and then you're in complete trouble for the race.
Yeah. One of the great things about Spa is getting out trackside, looking at the cars here. I think you got out to Eau Rouge, didn't you, this morning? How was it? I mean, I've been down there many times. It's fantastic. How was it?
Yeah, I didn't used to do it, but I think it's such a perk of the job, and just to find that respect for what the drivers are doing. Eau Rouge is a fantastic place to go and watch, especially on the inside. You can be a lot closer to the barrier because there's no danger there. So that's where a lot of photographers are standing as well. And it's just so impressive. It's when you walk up, it's just unbelievably steep, isn't it? Yeah. And then to see them just fly over it, it's super impressive. And yeah, it's definitely recommended. If you ever go to a race, try and find the best corners where you can just roam around and just see just how impressive these cars are.
Yeah. Fridays, obviously, Formula 1 races, we get into kind of a rhythm of things. We get the tech upgrades in the morning. I think focus here was mostly Mercedes upgrades, quite a bit. Alpine have brought a big package, but Friday's also press conference day. Sometimes we get team people, sometimes it's team principals. Today was a team principals press conference, and quite an interesting one because there've been two big news stories in the build up to this weekend. We had the Audi change.
Binotto will join Audi. Let's take F1 team kick summer.
Mattia Binotto coming in at Audi, and obviously there's a lot of stories bubbling away at Alpine, engine deals, future of Bruno Famin. Let's start with Audi. Phil, you spoke to Alessandro. What did he say? What are things looking, and what do you think? Get the sense of what's happening inside and outside Audi.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I think we all know Audi is quite it's a massive manufacturer, quite political landscape as well to operate in. So it's very much a case of removing two people and replacing them by one person there. To me, it looks like they want one person to just run the team independently, not too much outside meddling by the board or by anybody else.
That could be somewhat good. I mean, if Binotto also can do it, that's another question. So did Andreas Seidel and Hoffman really work so bad together?
And Mattia Binotto, obviously somebody that has the experience with Ferrari and just a very long career in Formula One. So it's one of those things where I think they've probably recognized that you need to just try and keep the politics out of it as much as you can. We've seen it in the past, and arguably with some teams on the grid today, that the car manufacturer politics can really sort of ruin the effective running of an F1 team. Not naming names, but it's a big responsibility, but it does look like he's going to get free reign, which maybe Andreas Seidel didn't quite get the way he wanted. So it's a good opportunity for him. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
So he's got some time, but not as much as you would like, I'm sure. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, and obviously the other story is kind of Alpine. No official confirmation yet that Renault's pulling out, but I think that it's fairly clear what direction the travel is. Bruno Famin, their team principal, spoke today, said that this informed theory of the plan that the F1 staff, looking to move to other projects. No one will lose their jobs, so it's moving forward. So it was kind of the first public notification we've had of where things are going. So we had that, and also Bruno talked about his own future. We ran the story on Autosport yesterday that Oliver Oakes has been tipped to become the new team principal. Bruno was expected to step down after the summer. We weren't expecting an announcement this weekend, but it happened. Bruno talked about it. He said, his heart was in with Viry-Châtillon. He came from there. He worked with those engineers. He feels the kind of passion and devotion to their future. So he says that he's going to step down and transition to this new role, and will sort out a future for Viry. So it's a very interesting perspective from him. No confirmation or announcement on what's happening, whether it will be Oliver Oakes from High Tech or whether someone else is coming in. But
so weird. I mean, the person that I've heard about, the High Tech guy, I mean, it doesn't sound like a bad person to hire, but so weird. What's
definitely
happening?
Room for change, and some big upheaval coming over the summer. We may get different drivers as well, but obviously all eyes on performance this weekend. Qualifying day tomorrow.
Oh wait, Formula 2. Paul Aaron, what team is he driving in? Is it High Tech? fuck do we have? Yeah. Paul Aron is driving for high tech. If Paul Aron maybe wins the Formula 2, could Paul Aron be in Alpine? That could be something.
Phil Common, who's on pole tomorrow?
Well, I quite like Lando Norris's comment that he felt terrible in the car, but he's still quickest. I don't know about you, John, but I would love to have that problem. So, yeah, I'm not going to look past McLaren. Is it a 1-2? I think Maax might mix it up, but yeah, then he's still got a great penalty, so it's kind of irrelevant. Yeah, I put Lando in pole. He looked quite quick today, despite obviously feeling terrible. But yeah, I think they'll just keep cracking on.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt the McLaren at the moment is the quickest car in. If it's hot, it's cold. If the track's tight, if the track's fast, if it's high downforce, if it's low downforce, that car is just absolutely nailed on at the moment. Seems pushing on. Lando and Oscar are pushing strong. They're going through some learning challenges, difficulties like Hungary, but they kind of come out, they sit down, they analyse, they focus, they move forward and shift that focus. So Lando feeling uncomfortable today, not such a disaster. I think they'll roll on. I think, this is theirs to lose. I'm just more intrigued by Mercedes because it's a team that traditionally this season has been very quick on Fridays, walked it and then fallen away over the weekend. This weekend they started from the other way around, so are they going to be the ones that emerge and come up?
No.
Can Max Verstappen make this progress from 10th on the grid? We shall wait and see, but we'll be back tomorrow to tell you some more.
Okay, some short news. Yeah, let's go to P1. Then we'll probably talk about Max Verstappen's what's it called? Not penalty. Or maybe it's called penalty? Yeah, well, he will start a further... Oh shit, needs sound.
What happened in practice for the Belgian Grand Prix?
Mostly nothing, I believe.
This video is sponsored by the F1 exhibition at Excel London. If you're an F1 fan, you need to get yourselves down to this exhibition faster than Max Verstappen with DRS open or Tommy on a treadmill. I haven't decided which one's quicker.
Definitely me. It's a mind-blowing, immersive experience that takes you through the most defining moments in the history of Formula 1.
And what do you want to see? What are you going to see? Well, you can see championship-winning F1 cars like the rare Shark.
Okay, I don't fucking care about this.
We'll be there no matter what.
Better be. We are well into now. The Belgian Grand Prix, FP1 done, FP2 done. What?
And qualifying for Formula 3 and Formula 2 have also happened.
A thrilling couple of practice sessions that was.
And qualifying, don't forget that.
Bar really was like, Matt, Tommy, you know how you said gonna deliver some action? Well, not on Friday, mate. Not on Friday.
Maybe it's saving itself for
Formula 3 did some action in the last minute.
Weekend where it actually matters because, yeah, not the most amount of action, thank goodness. We've got a few interesting things off track and kind of on track to talk about. But yeah, the weather didn't arrive, did it, that maybe we thought might happen?
No, absolutely not. So let's dive into something that actually went on off track at Selgren 89. What's going on in Alpine? And this is, of course, in reference to Bruno Faman leaving Alpine as team principal. Where do we start? How do you explain?
It's another high-profile exit, isn't it? There's been many in the last few years. There was a LinkedIn post, I think it was, from an ex-employee that was quite the explosive rant about the direction they were going in. Just as they looked like they were on a nice high and getting some points again, having all this drama in the background, and they're kind of not delivering as well. You know, Ocon had another problem at the start of FP1, and obviously Gasly had the two problems in the last two races as well, and they look slow.
And also they're turning their backs on their own engines to go with Mercedes.
That's a massive thing. Yeah, that could be huge. It's not confirmed yet, but seems like very, very, very likely. A very odd choice when you're surely in Formula 1 as Alpine and Renault to be like, look how good Renault cars are. And then they're going, but we've got a Mercedes in the back because we can't trust our own engine. It's not the best publicity, is it?
It almost feels as though they're pulling themselves away from almost linking their sports cars and road cars with Formula One, because you lose what I think a lot of teams want, especially the manufacturers, want to do, which is push selling their own cars. Yeah. So you do wonder whether this is maybe the beginning of the end for Alpine, Renault, and
Deadpool Grand Prix.
Potentially. Let's move to free practice 1 then, where Max Verstappen was fastest from Oscar Piastri and Alexander Albon. And seeing as we were touching upon Alpine very slightly there, Esteban Ocon had some great luck doing all of...
Oh yeah, that happened. Williams looked good in the first practice. At least for Alex Albon, but then in the second practice, not a lot of progress.
One singular lap in FP1, so you are wondering at this stage, what have we done? We didn't think it would go on for 3 races. This wasn't in the script, it wasn't in the curse. Again, not looking the greatest out of free practice 1 for Ocon. But this we all get very not even excited, just we start reading things, don't we? We always do. That's the beauty of the sport, that's the fun of the sport. We start looking into it and say who's quickest, and Max Verstappen looked like he was going to potentially win from last after FP1, and I regretted everything about not putting him in my top 3, but yes, he was looking very ominous in the first practice session.
He certainly was. This track is maybe more suited to the Red Bull than previous tracks we've been to.
And hopefully this will lead to a Sergio Perez win. I mean, it will be so amazing to see him win, be on the podium again. When he's back on the podium is when he's winning. I mean, that'd be so amazing.
Max has always been unbelievably quick there. Won from near the back of the field in the last 2 races, so it's going to make for an exciting Grand Prix, which we'll talk about Max later and how he's going to get through the field and if we think he will. But he was looking very ominous, like you say, in FP1. It was like, oh, this is the Max Verstappen we know from last year.
Pre-practice 2. Let's go to that now then, because a little bit more representative, some big push laps, actually at the beginning of the session rather than towards the end, which it's not usual for free practice 2, but it was Lando Norris ahead of Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen. So a McLaren 1-2 and looking much better in this second practice session. Very interested to see if they can carry that over into qualifying, especially when qualifying looks at the moment like it's going to be wet or at least slippery.
Believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I keep checking the weather, and it does look, I think it was like 80% chance or something when I looked. So it is looking like that way, and that's what teams are currently trying to figure out right now, is what do we run? What setups do we run when we've got potentially a wet qualifying going into a dry race? You want obviously more downforce in the wet. You want to be trying to absolutely ace that middle sector, but in the dry you want a bit more straight line speed. So teams have got a decision to make going into qualifying, whether they just risk it all and they go for the wettest setup ever and then pray to God they hold on, which I don't think is a wise decision, because then they just get mugged on the straights. But it's something that the engineers are having to very much dive into, because it's not an easy choice.
It's not.
For the weather people.
And Spa is one of those circuits where you get that mix in it anyway. It's not like Monza where you go, no, it definitely has to be this, or equally like a Monaco where you shovel the downforce on. We'll see this, and it's very easy to get. And it's a kind of almost like a little warning tomorrow to not get baited too much when Alex Albon is probably fastest in the first sector by half a second, and you go, oh, he's going to get pole. No, it's just the way they set up the cars and the fact that you can run such a skinny wing and you might be amazing in the first sector and then you just try and survive for the rest of it.
Certainly. Let's go to the first question from Nick 02662742. McLaren can't mess up this 1-2. No? We'll wait and see, because Max still has the pace to, by the looks of things, get quite easily up to third place like you predicted. So screw you, Tommy. but I'm also hoping that Ferrari, they're there or thereabouts, so they might cause a bit more problems for Max as he's coming through the field. But McLaren once again are in the pound seats. Oh no, they can't possibly catch Max at the top. McLaren have a great opportunity to 1-2 this race, and Max has to start in the danger zone going into turn 1, guaranteed that he cannot qualify any higher than 11th when we go into the race on Sunday. So
true,
McLaren need to work together. Lando and Oscar.
But hopefully Sir Perez will qualify second, so he can do something in the race.
Firstly, have to negotiate potentially very tricky conditions on Saturday, which may bring a few other teams into play. But when you look at the gaps right now, it seems like only McLaren and Max are in, they're in their own league, and then Ferrari are sort of just nipping at the heels. And right now, Mercedes not looking the best, but sometimes they are horrendous in practice and turn up. But it's not looking the best for Merck.
No, for 3 years.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest surprises. Biggest bad surprise, I guess you could call it, from practice, that Mercedes don't really look anywhere.
The fact was, why would that be a bad surprise? That's a good surprise.
Yeah. Although normally when they're 1-2, like you say, in practice, we get baited and go, they're going to be amazing, and then aren't. So we have seen before Mercedes just turning up in the kind of dying moments of qualifying, sometimes out of nowhere, and putting in a great performance, and it kind of all surprises us right at the end. So maybe that could happen again, but it is very much hopefully looking like McLaren have the best package along with Max, and it's going to be a case of McLaren going for the victory, Max obviously coming through the field, it seems so far, but it's only practice, of course.
It's only practice. Next question, James Rizk1. What do you think is limiting Perez's performance, mental or the car? Well, that's when you know it's been a dreadful couple of practices in terms of entertainment when we are going back to Perez. But when you look at both of his performances in FP1 and FP2, he only just about got within a second in free practice 1, and he was 1.2 seconds off in FP2. I think the one saving grace for him is that if he manages to claw just 2 or 3 tenths back of this over 1 second deficit that he currently has, he may well save his own blushes and qualify in sort of P6, because it does look like there is a big gap between the top teams and the rest of the field. Back to the question, look, I think it's both. I don't think you can say it's one or the other. Perez is clearly, he was on the radio, I think, in practice today saying that he had understeer and oversteer, and he didn't really understand the sort of slow to mid-speed corners, and it just feels like he doesn't have a clue what that car is going to do, and therefore can't instill any confidence in himself, and therefore the lap time isn't there. And he's also scared of crashing, and sometimes has crashed even though he's been slow. So it's just a snowball procedure right now that we're seeing, and it's sad to see.
And hopefully this will be the end of that snowballing. He get a really good qualifying, he do a good race, and then he just from nowhere wins the race. McLaren have ruined the 1-2 for them, and instead Red Bull get a 1-2. And then Perez can celebrate that he will still be in Red Bull, the Red Bull car. I mean, that will be the dream. But will that happen? Probably not, but you can always hope.
Because this is not the Sergio Perez that we saw at the start of seasons gone by.
Exactly. You're right that these two things of like mental or the car, they are kind of one thing, because if you're not confident in the car, you're not going to be able to deliver. And that is why Max has been so good, is because he's got supreme confidence in that car. There was a radio message right at the start of FP1 that they definitely knew what they were doing when they played it out, where Perez said he was struggling in the corners, and they said what corners, and he said all of them, or something along those lines, where it's like high speed, low speed, everything. He is just struggling everywhere, it seems, at the moment.
Right, let's move on. Next question. V1 Patreon member Lumixion with Verstappen.
Struggling like Ricciardo did in McLaren 2021 to 2022.
And more importantly, Tsunoda having grid penalties. Is the ball firmly in Ricciardo's court? No.
Oh wait, the fuck? With Verstappen and Tsunoda having grid penalties, is the ball firmly on Ricciardo's court? I mean, I should be, but probably not.
Having grid penalties. Is the ball firmly in Ricciardo's court? No, I don't think you can really say just because Tsunoda has a 60-place grid penalty that now it's up to Daniel Ricciardo. Can he do something in this one Grand Prix where Verstappen and Tsunoda are on the back foot? It's not as knee-jerk as that. We know that Formula One teams take a lot more into account than, oh, well, Tsunoda's got a penalty. Therefore, he's no longer in the running. I think RB don't look that great this weekend so far anyway. So I'm not sure if there'll be much to write home about for them. They looked like they were trying very much a very fast car in the first and third sector, but then lost about 3 days in the middle sector. So, yeah, 14th and 20th in FP2 for RB. What can Daniel Ricciardo really do if they don't improve from there?
It is funny how Ricciardo does...
3 days for every corner. How many laps are that? Probably over 50. 3 days, 30, 90, 120, 150 days. If it's just 50 laps. I mean, that's something.
It does seem like the red hot favourite now to take that place. I think it's all going to come down to if Perez still under delivers and Ricciardo has a really, really good race and maybe finishes like 8th or 9th, then that would pile a lot of pressure when essentially you go into the summer break where Red Bull have made those decisions before, and that whole narrative will like spark up again about Daniel Ricciardo if he has a good race. I personally don't see it happening now that they'll swap.
Final question comes in from Gavin Curley 90. Can Maax win with a 10-place grid penalty?
Yes.
Yes.
He can.
I think you'd be very silly and naive to say no, just because Maax might start 11th, 12th, 13th. Is he the favourite? I would say no. I think McLaren have got a fantastic opportunity to win this, get a 1-2. They've got the pace. Maax will lose, I don't know, let's estimate 10, 15 seconds. Depends how quickly he gets through the rest of the field. Will he have loads of downforce in the middle sector like he was showing today? And therefore overtaking might be slightly more difficult for him with the use of DRS. Who knows? But my thoughts are...
God damn it. At time. The Swedish Army. Försvar. Makt.
Ursäkta, du glömde din väska på kaféet.
That's neat.
Oj, tack snälla.
Varsågod.
My bad.
Gör det som känns bra i magen. Valio.
Yes, he can, but I think McLaren would have to do another one of their disaster classes.
I think he definitely can, for sure. DRS will be, it's not as long. The Red Bull won't be as quick, but I still think he'll breeze past a lot of the cars towards the start. It all comes down to McLaren and how well they can manage that situation, because they're going to have...
Probably not.
Piastri looks quick again. Even if Lando's on pole by half a second, sometimes you don't want to be on pole at Spa because you get an amazing run up the hill. It's going to basically be how McLaren manage their race. They've got Oscar ahead again. Are they going to start messing about? Are they going to, if Lando's quicker, will they let him through? There's a lot of questions to still be asked, but it all comes down to if McLaren
the biggest question is
not going to be...
Will Sir Perez be part of the fight for the win? That I want to know.
Naive and think the Maax is out of it. I don't think they will for a second, but they need to... They basically can't be like, oh, we've got... Maax is kind of out the way and we'll be fine. They need to still make, big, bold strategy decisions, because Maax will be, like a shark, like the shark meme coming to get them, basically, I think.
Okay, that pretty much wraps up Friday practice. Sorry there wasn't a huge amount to reflect on, but that's just what today brought. Spa, you better be picking up your game for Saturday and Sunday, I'll tell you that for free. But with a wet qualifying, fingers crossed it'll make for some exciting action. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care. See you tomorrow. We'll be live on Twitch. Well, I will be. Tommy is gallivanting around the world again. And we'll see you soon.
Second.
Bye!
And Max Verstappen pole position. Maybe he should qualify third and then overtake Lando Norris in the start. And then Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri need to fight each other. That makes Perez can continue just having a nice race. And they, fuck the race up for themselves. And then Max Verstappen then overtake them. And then 1-2 for Red Bull. But to really know if Perez will succeed with this, we need to know all the information. And the best guy to give that information about how someone did in the practice is Peter Windsor, 2022 for 2024. Oh my god. F1 Belgian Grand Prix Friday analyzed by Peter Windsor. So hopefully he will give some nice, beautiful news about Sergio Perez in the practice.
Into the weekend, the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa, with a 10-place grid penalty because he's now using his 5th internal combustion engine. Who is going to step up to the plate?
So
well, there's a bit of an open question. Everybody knew about the 10-place grid penalty going into Friday, but it's McLaren and Mercedes again who have very confidently shown their consistency.
No, don't talk good about fucking Mercedes. Fuck them.
And their pace. We saw that today on Friday at Spa. It was interesting always to compare what they were going to do around this circuit, which is basically 2 very fast sectors, the first and last, and then a middle sector, also quick, but a lot more corners in the middle sector. So you can set the car up for more downforce to make it work on that middle sector, or you can take downforce out of the car and be quick in the first and third sectors. That all sounds very simplistic. Of course, it's nothing like as simple as that, particularly with these cars, because bouncing comes into it if you don't get the setup absolutely right in terms of ride height on fast corners. But anyway, we'll get onto that in a minute, how they compared. But it was interesting to see how Red Bull approached this, bearing in mind that it looks as if it's going to be wet on Saturday. So the running we saw today really has a direct bearing on what we might well see on Sunday. And if that's the case, in past years indeed, you could say that on this circuit it's relatively easy to overtake, and a driver like Maax in a car like the Red Bull RB20 starting say P11 or P12 still has a pretty good chance of winning, certainly being in the top 3, comfortably in the top 3. But
come on, Sir Perez, this is your win to win. This is your race to win. Max Verstappen is not up there. It's your time to shine. It's your time to win a race. As soon as Max Verstappen is back again with a good car, or this time with no penalties, he will most likely to win. So it's your time to shine now. So make a good qualifying now, and hope for the best that you can have a cruising victory.
But this year, with McLaren going as well as they are, and potential threats from time to time from Mercedes and Ferrari, there is nothing like the same predictability about the race. And I guess one way of looking ahead to Sunday, bearing in mind that it's highly likely to be wet or showery on Saturday, is to see how the teams prepared for the race in terms of the number of sets of tyres they've got left. This is the state of play at the end of FP2. See that Maax has 2 sets of medium tyres left. But the most interesting thing there, I think, is Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris, both of whom are very well positioned now. Lando running only the soft tyre in FP2, even on the long rounds, which is impressive to watch. A bit sporadic, but nonetheless impressive to watch. Lando and Charles Leclerc both have 2 sets of mediums and 2 sets of hards. And bearing in mind it could be wet tomorrow, that was a gamble worth taking, because 5 sets of soft tyres, you would imagine, should be enough to get through qualifying tomorrow if there are some dry elements to the afternoon. So very good.
Yeah, you think that, but Perez exists, so don't get your hope up too much how people can succeed.
Work, I think, there by Charles Leclerc and also by Lando Norris, and that puts him in a slightly different position from Oscar Piastri in terms of the tyre sets he has available for the race, and that may be a differentiating factor that McLaren might want to bring into play if their two guys are running very closely, as they did, of course, in Hungary. We'll get onto that a little bit further into the video. So let's have a look at the results as they were in the first session today in FP1. These times all recorded on the Pirelli soft. They will all use one set of soft tyres this morning. Max Verstappen 43.3, Oscar Piastri 43.9. You look at that and you think, wow, Red Bull right back where they normally have been in the past around Spa. Really, really good lap. And on that basis, let's have a look at the sector times between those two quickest laps. Sector 1, 30.7 for Max. Oscar Piastri slightly quicker, 30.6. But look what Max does in Sector 2, 44.0 compared with Oscar Piastri, 44.6. So 28.5, 28.3, pretty similar on the third sector. And guess what Red Bull did during the lunch break between FP1 and FP2? They took wing out of the car to pick up pace through sectors 1 and 3. But just going back to those FP1 results, Alex Albon, really good performance to be P3 for Williams Mercedes. Sadly, that didn't continue through into the afternoon session. The two Mercedes on 44.2, compared that with a 43.9 from Oscar Piastri. Obviously, we had that quick time from Max Verstappen. You can see that Mercedes have been in quite a lot of trouble today. They, more than most, talking about bouncing through the high speed and medium speed corners in Sector 2. So Mercedes, obviously, again, right on that ragged edge, that very, very sharp razor's edge of tyre performance and balance and grip and top speed, all those different variables coming into play. It's nothing like as simple an equation as that McLaren Mercedes are looking at these days. Charles Leclerc, 44.3, pretty good lap from Charles Leclerc. Looked to be slightly quicker and sharper than Carlos Sainz today. Didn't have a brilliant day, Carlos, but Charles Leclerc putting in a lot of laps in the morning and in the afternoon session and looking pretty strong. Okay, so let's have a look at the FP2 results, again on soft tyres. Lando Norris did the quickest lap. He ran out slightly later than the others. I've got to say Oscar Piastri damaged the floor halfway through, so we shouldn't read too much into the difference there.
Where we have Sergio Perez 43. Okay, almost more than 1 second.
42.2 for Lando Norris, very good lap. Oscar Piastri 42.4, Max Verstappen 42.4 as well. Max 30.3 in Sector 1, Lando 30.2, 43.9 Sector 2, 43.8 Lando Norris, 28.3, 28.2. So the McLaren just a little bit quicker everywhere. So that's bad news, of course, for Red Bull. They have said they've been running a lot of different setups, trying different things. But from where Max is likely to be on the grid, as I say, P11 if he's on the pole, P12, P13 possibly, then it's going to be a difficult job for him, certainly to get higher than third and certainly to get near the McLarens, given that sort of pace. So really, really good performance again by McLaren Mercedes. Considering where they've been and where they were and where Ferrari and Mercedes were last year, the factory Mercedes team, how much progress McLaren Mercedes continue to make. How it's going to work out between the drivers, that remains to be seen, of course. I wonder if they're in the same situation as they were in Hungary, how Lando might react now. Equally, if again Oscar Piastri's in front of Lando and they need one of the two drivers to cover the P3, let's say it's George Russell coming in or Charles Leclerc more likely coming in, they want to cover Charles Leclerc, would again they do bring in Lando Norris and say to him, Lando, if you come out ahead of Oscar, you're going to have to give the position back. Would they do that again? It'd be really interesting to see how they're going to do that. I mean, the best thing McLaren could do is try to get their two drivers, without compromising their pace in any way or their races, on different strategies, different tyres, different length of tyres, age of tyres, whatever it is, try to get some differentiation there. But if they're both equal in everything they're doing, stand back and watch. I suppose a lot of people are saying, wow, this is great, isn't it? Who cares about the rest of it? We've got the two McLarens going on. But I don't know, it's just kind of a weird thing watching the two of them now and the dynamic there between Oscar and Lando. Superficially, it's fine, but for sure below the surface there's a lot more than we can see. And before we get on...
Yeah, the opinion of Peter was sure. They hate each other. Behind the scene, you have death threats, you have He could run tactics, assassins. It's like the shit show. Luckily, we will never see it.
On to the fuel runs. Let's just have a look at the top speed. Slightly confusing at Spa because the speed trap, incredibly, is just on the exit of Eau Rouge. It's not
some race names in the Death Note
where they reach terminal velocity at the top of the hill there. And this trap here is called Intermediate 1, which I'm assuming is at the top of the hill there. Anyway, they're very quick speeds, as you can see. 351, Pierre Gasly quickest. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because if you look at that, all the quick guys are relatively slow through the trap, and all the slow guys are relatively quick through the trap. What does that mean? That means downforce costs you top speed, causes drag. And the teams at the bottom, of course, apart from Esteban Ogone, the teams there at the bottom you see, McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, are all the teams that are generating more downforce, creating more drag, and can play around a little bit with wing settings. Whereas the Williamses, the Saubers, the Hasses are very quick through the air. Not a lot they can do about that. They would all like to be a little bit slower, I suspect. Having said that, if you're Max Verstappen, you want to be as quick.
The fuck did he say? I don't know, what did he show? Perez, where do we have Perez? Oh, nice. Gasly, the fuck is happening there? Okay, Perez close to
about that.
Max Verstappen.
They would all like to be a little bit slower, I suspect. Having said that, if you're Max Verstappen, you want to be as quick as possible in a straight line, so he won't be very happy when he looks at those top speeds there. But if you start from, say, Carlos Sainz is probably the first realistic runner, 340, George Russell doing 340, so Ferrari and Mercedes pretty much on a par, Charles Leclerc also 340, Lewis Hamilton 336, which is either set up or it's engine settings, saving something. I mean, he won't be happy about that at all.
Why not?
Slower even than Max Verstappen in 338. But look at Lando Norris, 338 as well. So absolutely quickest around the lap, but only 338 compared with Pierre Gasly 351 through the air, through the trap there. So very impressive. All running the DRS open, of course. You've got to factor in potential for toes there. Probably that's the case with Pierre Gasly. So maybe Alex Albon at 342 is the realistic fastest of all. Let's have a look at some fuel runs. We did have some fuel runs in the morning. You can see there Max staying away from the medium tyre. Everybody else running the medium. He starts on the soft, does a quite a good long run on the soft.
Trident?
49.4.
We got a Trident on braking too. Nobody cares about them braking. But we got one more Trident for the collection. Nice. Okay, Peter, we shall continue. Say that Perez is good. Oh, you don't even show Perez. That's
49.4 again, 49.5, and then switches to the hards. Goes pretty well on the hards, 48.5. Compare that with the others. The Red Bull there looks pretty good, but that's before they've had to take wing out of the car, before they're compromising their sector 2, and equally it's before McLaren have trimmed their cars as well. More significant going into the race on Sunday, bearing in mind it's likely to be wet on Saturday, are the fuel runs in FP2. And look at that, Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri had virtually the same running plan throughout the afternoon. Amazing that both stopped virtually, well, it wasn't at the same time because they started slightly differently. They had virtually the same number of laps on the medium and then went to the soft. So really significant comparison there between Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri in the McLaren.
48.3, 48.8, 48.7. So we have 149, 151, 250, 56. Okay, Oscar Piastri did a better job then. The fuck are you doing, Max Verstappen? Oh shit, Piastri. All 47. I mean 49, 47, 50, 47.
McLaren. Let's look at it. 48.3, 48.7, 48.8, 48.8, 48.7, 49.3, 48.9. So looking quite good for Max until he gets to the 48.9. Then all of a sudden Oscar's going quite well. Then Max's tyres, which were a little bit older, go into the 50s, 51, and Oscar's staying in the 49s. So that's quite a significant... Well, I think what we can say from that is that McLaren is at least as good as the Red Bull with fuel in the car. As I say, Max's tyres are a little bit older. So now they both put on some scrub softs that they'd run earlier in the session to do their quick times. 49.6, 47.4 for Oscar, 47.8 for Maax, gets his act together, 47.7, 47.5, 47.5 Oscar Piastri. So on that soft tire run right at the end, Oscar looking very confident and very quick. Maax doing one lap. Can't say he wasn't confident, probably got traffic. Lando on the soft tyre was a bit all over the place in terms of lap time. Didn't seem to be a significant run. I mean, that was all about not running a set of mediums, I think, and saving that set for that new set for the race. Charles Leclerc, good long soft tyre run, 49.5, he's doing 49.7, 49.8. And with Charles doing that long run on the soft tyre, let's just see what Maax was doing on the soft tyre in the morning. 49.4, 49.5, 49.4. Charles Leclerc's in 49.7, 49.8. Yeah, so he's a bit off, bearing in mind the track's a little bit quicker as well, so he's a little bit off, but a good consistent run from Charles Leclerc. And George Russell on the medium tyre, 50.3, 50.2, does a couple of laps, 3 laps in the 49s, but looks to be a bit of a struggle for George. He was first out on track this morning in FP1, looking pretty sharp. You thought, wow, is George Russell going for it quick already? But he was never that quick, and the car's obviously quite difficult. As I say, it's very knife edgy with the Mercedes at the moment. So there we are, that was Friday. Maax with that grid penalty. McLaren looking as if they're going to have a walkover this weekend, bearing in mind where Maax is going to be starting. And problem for him really is going to be getting through that first corner. Very unusual for a first lap at Spa to take place without some sort of incident at La Source. And guess what? If he does a great job and he starts P11, Maax is going to be right in the middle of that potential first corner accident. So the big job for him this weekend, more than anything else, is to get out of that first corner without the car being damaged in any way. I'm sure that's in his mind. I'm sure a lot of people around him are telling him that and saying that. It's one thing to understand that. Of course, it's quite another to execute. There's a lot of people around there going to be pushing and shoving. Whether you're on the inside, the outside, very difficult to predict what's going to happen at that hairpin, but that's all part of Formula One. And I don't think Maax will be the last of the top runners to have to take a 10-place grid penalty because of an internal combustion engine change. They're doing it, Red Bull that is, they're doing it at Spa, the circuit where you've got the least possible downside really from starting from the middle of the field, because it's relatively easy to overtake. But at the moment it looks to be,
if you have the car for it. 100% green cob. When I just look at McLaren, they couldn't do anything.
Heading in the direction again of another McLaren Mercedes victory. Let's see what happens on Sunday. See you tomorrow.
Oh, some more black screen.
Maax presenterar OS.
Yeah, there we have it. Hopefully future Max Verstappen ad. Eller sponsor. Men people on Maax, like all companies that have something with the Maax name, they should try to sponsor Red Bull or Max Verstappen in any way. I mean, it's the perfect. It's so easily to. Maybe you don't want to. Some way it's easy to make a reference with his name. It will maybe be bad because what are you referring with the Maax? What company? Oh, 100% red. Briny red.
I Paris 2024. Endast här kan du se varje ögon.
Oh shit, it's over. It's over. see, do we have any more fish that we can collect, or will this be it? I believe it is, because I have nothing more to watch or say. Where? So we go down, place down the stuff we don't want. Oh shit, do we have anything? Oh, that's for if I find any more salmon. And that one we can take out. That one also. And then we go down with that. Can we see? One more. Tropical fish. Nope. Man, so many chickens. And yeah, we don't have to write down that because we are not. And see. Oh shit. Oh my god. Man, that's a little too late to see that. Well, let's see. What can we hope for? Perez, a good qualifying for Perez. A good qualifying for Perez, good sprint race for Dino Boganovic. Also race for Perez. And yeah, hopefully Polaron can maybe succeed to win the race. Maybe have a good sprint race. Hopefully Hadja maybe will have a bad sprint race and race. But yeah. So, do anything happen in the car? No, 17 August. That long. Okay. Far away, so we don't need to care about IndyCar in a while. See, have anything news arrived? Doesn't look like that. Well, hopefully some good qualifying will happen. No more crashing from Perez, but that will be see